Hi, how y'all doing? I'm going to talk to you today about cheap properties and some of the places where you can find them. I am specifically talking to homeless people, people who are living in tents, people who find themselves homeless. The truth is, excuse me, when people are in that situation, the temptation is to go first to social services to see what they can beg off of social services, okay? So I'm suggesting that you don't do that. I'm suggesting you try to help yourself first, okay? That's what I'm suggesting. Everybody goes to social services to beg for housing and food stamps and to pay their electric bill. Hello? Okay? But I'm suggesting you don't do that first. I'm suggesting that you look at land ownership first, even if you're living out of your car. See, if you own your own lot and you're living out of your car, you can park on that lot and you will not receive any harassment from the police. The problem that the police have is when you park on public lands, when you park behind the courthouse or when you park behind Home Depot. That is when the police get involved. So I'm suggesting that you first try to help yourself. And that is scriptural. You first try to see what you can do. And then if you can't do anything, okay, go to social services. You're at the end of your rope. But I'm suggesting that you first try to see what you can do. For example, I do not understand why people are living in the woods in Northern Virginia. Because what does that mean? That means they cannot afford Northern Virginia. So why are they living in a tent in the woods of Northern Virginia? You cannot afford Northern Virginia. You cannot afford those houses. An average shack. A veteran told me him and his wife had just an ordinary 3-bedroom home, and it had like 1 or 3 acres, and he got $800,000 for that shack, and that was in Northern Virginia. Okay, so if you live in the woods in Northern Virginia, what does that mean? You cannot afford Northern Virginia, so you better go to somewhere where you can afford. Keep this in mind: Zillow.com. Realty.com, landsales.com. Those are the 3 websites that you need to be aware of. There are other websites that you can look at too. Let's look at one state. Let's look at West Virginia, for example. In Greenbrier County, there was 15 acres for sale for $22,000. That is very, very cheap. That's cheaper than a car. There was also a house, and it looked like it was on about an acre of land, and it was a $13,000 home. Now, of course, you have to do work to it, okay? Of course you do. In other parts of West Virginia, like Summers County, even though it does have a lot of water, you can get a house for under $60,000. There are other counties in West Virginia where you can find cheap houses. Mercer County, probably Raleigh County, Kanawha County, just a lot of different places. Okay, so you have to do research. You just go to Google and say Greenbrier County, West Virginia real estate, and you'll get the Zillow, you'll get the Realty.com, you'll get all the listings. Let's look at Virginia. In Halifax County, I saw a $13,000 church. Now the church, always has a parking lot, so you can buy that $13,000 church and convert it to a living space. Okay, Franklin County, Virginia has cheap real estate. Campbell County, where Lynchburg is, you can find houses under $60,000. You can probably find a lot for under $2,000. North Carolina, South Carolina. North Carolina has abandoned projects, and those projects, particularly in that city, Rocky Mountain, I think it's Rocky Mountain, North Carolina, that is very close to the Virginia border. They actually have abandoned projects. So maybe HUD will sell that to you, okay? Everything is there. The fixtures are there. Everything is there, okay? South Carolina actually has abandoned plantations under $60,000. If you can find them. Tennessee, Kentucky, plenty of abandoned land. Like I said, just call the city offices. If you want to go to so and so Tennessee or Kentucky, call the city office and say, how do I buy these? How can I get a listing of abandoned properties in such and such a county in Tennessee, or such and such a county in Kentucky? And they'll tell you who to call. They give you a website, and they'll tell you the steps. Okay, and you go on from there. And of all places, Vermont has some inexpensive properties. You can find rustic cabins for under $60K, $120K. I have seen them. Okay, so I'm suggesting to you, if you are homeless or live in a tent, try to help yourself first by going to these websites and looking for a cheap property. If you get $700 in disability and your husband gets $700 in disability, no matter what, you cannot afford anything in California. I don't know why you live in California. You're in a tent. Rightly so, because you cannot afford anything, absolutely anything in California. There's no government subsidies for you anywhere in California. So if you get disability and your husband gets this $700 disability or whatever, what I would suggest to you is you go to any one, do your research and go to any one of these states. If you have saved some money, I'm not for mortgages, but maybe a bank will give you a $13,000 loan or a $20,000 loan, considering the fact that you both have a disability check. Might do that. Okay, try to save your money, but I would suggest to you that don't put your children under that stress of living in a tent in California. Just go to one of these places and get you a $13,000 home. That's what I'm suggesting to you. And I hope people on Skid Row are listening, even though I know there's a very small chance you are. Okay, because y'all don't go to the library, but that's going to be your saving grace. Because the Union Mission cannot do but so much. The Union Mission does give you food, and we thank them for it. We appreciate it, but they cannot help you find property. You have to find yourself property. Go to the library, get on the library, go to those 3 websites, Zillow, Google. If you want to live in Mississippi, say cheap houses in Mississippi, in so-and-so county, Mississippi, Alabama, wherever you want to live. I hope, if you're on Skid Row, you can get yourself off of Skid Row. You can get yourself off of Skid Row. But you have to go to that library and do your research. Have a nice day.